Hey, do you know what time it is? It's White Boy Summer.
White Boy Summer!
If I don't get 100K by the end of the year, bitch, I'm gonna kill myself.
Well, on people, welcome back to another video. Today, the 20th of November, 2022 is the opening day of the FIFA World Cup. Also, if you've noticed, I'm wearing the Super Eagles kit, very delicious kit. Unfortunately, they didn't make it to the World Cup, but it is what it is.
Oh my guys, I also.
I wanted to do some content for the FIFA World Cup, but I didn't want to make it like a generic content. So today, we're going to be predicting the World Cup winner using the national dishes of every country involved. Sometimes YouTube will make you sit back and think, well, what am I doing with my life? Because I rarely spent multiple hours researching the national dishes of 32 countries. Now, a couple of disclaimers. Some of these may not be the national dish. I might be wrong. I just did a quick Google search and I picked the one that Google told me was the national dish, or if it wasn't a national dish, was a very popular dish used in the nation. We're going to be using this World Cup prediction game to stack the countries against each other all the way to the final, where we will pick a winner based on how scrumptious the food is. However, if you did come here for actual football predictions, we will run through that at the end of the video. I got all the food photos here. I got all the dish names here, and I have all the food descriptions right here. Don't let anyone ever tell you that YouTubing isn't a real job. Let's get started. Group A. First up is Qatar. The national dish of Qatar is called mashboush. Another disclaimer, if I'm mispronouncing these, I don't know. But basically what mashboush is, chicken and rice with a spice mix called Qatari Bazaar, which is 8 different spices including ginger, cumin, coriander. The photo looks scrumptious, I'm not gonna lie. It's right up my alley. That chicken looks seasoned. Next up, we have Ecuador. Now, Ecuador's national dish is called a bolón de verde, a dough ball made of mashed green plantains on the outside with pork or other meat and cheese on the inside. Then they fry it. So basically like a meatball. I don't have too much to say about this. It seems like an appetizer at a restaurant. Next up is Senegal. Senegal's national dish is called teboujan, which directly translates to the rice of fish. Very creative. I'm being sarcastic. It is white fish that's been marinated with parsley, lemon, garlic, and onions. Then it's cooked with tomato paste and veggies, lettuce, cabbage, carrots, later combined with rice. The photo that I found does not look too appetizing, mostly because of the cabbage. And also, I recently had diarrhea from white fish. Bro, if I show you what my toilet looked like, mad thing. So I'm a bit biased. Last on the list is Holland. Their national dish is called stampot, mashed potato with kale and rookworst, which is Dutch sausage. Basically, it's like a comfort food. I like mashed potato. No, actually, what am I saying? I don't really like mashed potatoes, but these don't seem as like runny as mashed potatoes usually are. Personally, I think Qatar's up top. After that, I think I'm gonna put Holland with the stampot, then Ecuador with bolón de verde, but mostly just because I don't really like pork. Well, I do like pork, but it's not one of my favorite meats. But it does have cheese. See, rookworst, any sort of sausage, and pork hold the same esteem for me because they both have like questionable meat ingredients. But yeah, Senegal is definitely lost. You know what? I'm gonna put Ecuador in second because I don't really like mashed potatoes either. Moving on, Group B. England's national dish. A bit of politics involved here. They say that England's national dish is either fish and chips or roast beef with Yorkshire puddings. You know what else they said England's national dish was? Chicken tikka masala. Huh? England tried to claim the curry because it was devised for the British people when India was under colonial rule. It is not a traditional Indian curry. As interesting as that is, unfortunately England, we're at the point in our society where you can't claim other people's heritage as your own. Cutscene to me speaking in pidgin. That's different. I used to live in Nigeria actually. I went with roast beef instead of fish and chips. Trust me, in the knockout rounds they're gone anyway. So it's beef, obviously, and a Yorkshire pudding is a baked pudding made from a batter of eggs, flour, and milk. That does not sound very appetizing. This photo, which, by the way, is the best photo I could have found, is looking kind of dry. Anyways, next up, Iran's national dish is called Koresh-e-Gourmet Sabzi. Flawless pronunciation. It is a tangy and citrusy, slow-cooked stew, made with herbs, red kidney beans, I like that, and lamb chunks. Lamb is one of my favorite stew meats. Comes with herbs and Persian dried limes. I don't know what that is. It might just be regular limes, but because it says Persian dried, I'm intrigued. Served with steamed rice. Looks a bit saucy, man. Those beans are looking scrumptious. I already know England's at the bottom of this group. Oh wait, actually Wales still has to go. The USA is such a new country, they don't even have a culture, so their national dish was either a burger or apple pie. Pretty basic, I don't really have anything to say about that. Wales! The national dish of Wales is called cow. It's a soup or broth with potatoes, carrots, leeks, and meat. And then I put in brackets lamb because I wanted to choose that, and the photo looks kind of nice. It looks very heartwarming. I do really like stews, as I've mentioned. I'm gonna go Iran top. Just sounds very delicious. Normally food from like the Middle East is very well spiced as well. So after that, we're gonna go go Wales because it is stew and I like that. And after that, we're gonna go the US, then England. Now, I would put US as the bottom because fuck America and I don't want them to do well in this World Cup at all. Stay tuned to the end for my actual predictions. But a burger is definitely better than roast beef and Yorkshire pudding. Although I have never really had Yorkshire pudding, to be fair. Group C. National dish of Argentina is asado con molejas y morquilla. Now, why I included these two, let me read the description. Asados is a variety of barbecue meat with molejas, sweetbread, which is actually the pancreas of whatever animal you're eating.
Hey yo, what the fuck?
Either pan-fried or grilled, also served with morquilla, which is blood sausage. And I did include that in the photo as well, it's on the bottom right. What kind of sick nation terms something sweetbread that is the organ of an animal that is not commonly eaten? You're actually wrong. That's a complete lack of decorum and I don't appreciate it. After that, we have the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Their national dish is called kabsa, which is rice and meat, so lamb, cooked with potato and veggies. So it's basically mashbush. It's the same as Qatar. Mexico's national dish is actually interesting. It's called mole. Now, mole is a sauce. What makes this sauce interesting is that it actually contains chocolate. Mole is a generic name for a sauce, but mole poblano is probably the most popular, made with chili, cacahuate, which is nuts, chocolate, and ajojoli, which is sesame seeds. I don't really find the picture enticing. It looks like melted chocolate ice cream. But again, I have never tried it, so I don't want to be too judgmental. Lastly, in Group C, we have Poland with a bigos stew, pork, rabbit, or venison, and sauerkraut, which is pickled cabbage. I do like sauerkraut. Smoked Polish sausage, which is kabanos. I have had kabanosi. And beef stock and spices. That does sound quite hearty and nice, and the picture looks very nice. By the way, Argentina, complete bottom. I'm gonna go Saudi, then Poland, then Mexico, then Argentina. Argentina can get the fuck out. Messi, you're my goat, but as far as your food goes, brother, morquilla, blood sausage, are you well? Sweetbread pancreas, get out, my friend. Group D. France's national dish is called pot au feu, which directly translates to pot on fire. It is another stew, like most European nations have been, with meat and veggies, but also cartilaginous meat, like oxtail or bone marrow, to make a fine broth and give it a jelly appearance. I'm not sure how I feel about the jelly appearance. I don't really like gelatinous food, but bone marrow cooked is quite nice. Nutmeg is then added to broth before serving, and the cooked marrow is spread on bread, served with Dijon mustard, nice gherkins, or horseradish sauce. This sounds very, you know what I'm saying? If you know, you know. Also, the photo looks very basic. It's one of them ones where the veggies look hard. You get me? Those carrots look a bit undercooked. Australia's national dish is roast lamb. It was either roast lamb or meat pie, but Paul said roast lamb. And I assume that comes with potatoes. I don't know what else you want me to say about roast lamb. Roast lamb is roast lamb. It does look a bit dry. But we can throw mint sauce on there. We can. Next in Group D, we have Denmark. Get ready for this. Denmark's national dish is called stegt flæsk met persillesauce. Huh? Persillesauce. Stekte flæsk med persillesauce, which is slices of pork with boiled potatoes and parsley sauce. Parsley sauce is a milk-based sauce with meat juices, nice, lemon juice, sugar, and some parsley, served with pickled beetroot. I'm an average fan of beetroot to begin with, so I don't know how I feel about pickled beetroot. The photo looks okay, but the potatoes look a bit mayonnaise-y. Yeah, I don't know, warm milk. Next up, Tunisia with koski, which is just couscous. Now, this is a bit unfair because couscous is a side dish, so it's kind of difficult to stack that up against big hitters, but I'm gonna put it with lamb, and that's the photo I included. The couscous does look a bit yellow though. I'm not used to that. It's because you're white, man. You're not used to spices in your food. Okay. And so, I'm part of my environment. To be honest, the whole group is looking A, similar, and B, not that strong. But we're gonna go with Australia because that's the best looking photo. Then we're gonna go Denmark. And then we're gonna go Tunisia and then France. Because that French stew looks like the most basic version of the basic level stews that we found amongst European countries. Woo! Halfway there. Group E. We have Spain, and Spain's national dish is paella, which for those of you who don't know is fish, mussels, chorizo, saffron with rice and paprika. It also comes from the region of Valencia. I have had paella a number of times before, pretty good. After that, we have Costa Rica with gallo pinto, which directly translates to spotted rooster. Rice and beans stir-fried together, usually served for breakfast with eggs and sour cream or cheese. Now, I would have my eggs fried with that because that sounds delicious. Also, I'm a fan of rice, a fan of beans, a fan of them being fried. So this is all looking pretty good, and the photo looks nice as well. Next up, we have Germany, Sauerbraten.
My sneaker had a fight with a man. Oh.
Directly translated sour roast. Historically made with horse meat. Ew. Side note, do you remember like 10 years ago, there was a huge scandal in Europe because McDonald's was supposedly using horse meat for patties. And my thing was, while I used to live in Nigeria at that time. Shut your My thing was, yo, you guys were chomping down on Big Macs. You didn't even notice, but now that you found out, you're like, historically made with horse meat, these days with beef and venison. Meat marinated for a few days in red wine, vinegar, herbs and spices, drowned in a dark gravy made with beetroot sugar sauce and rye bread. I don't know how to feel about that. To balance the sour vinegar and traditionally served with red cabbage / potato dumplings or boiled potatoes. I'm not familiar with potato dumplings, but it sounds better than boiled potatoes. It sounds like a lot of strong flavors in there. Another interesting one, Hapon, Japan. Their national dish is called curry rice.
How?
Curry came to Japan in the late 19th century, brought by the British, from the Indians by the way, as a luxury food. But unfortunately, since England can't claim tikka masala, Japan can't claim curry. So we're gonna have to go with sushi, and you guys will know what that is. Fermented rice with raw seafood and veggies. I didn't want to use sushi initially because it's a bit unfair. Sushi is kind of the goat food in my personal opinion. We're gonna go Japan first because sushi is sushi. Then I like the idea of the Costa Rican beans and rice. Then we're gonna go paella, and then we're gonna go Germany last. Group F. Belgium. Belgium's national dish is called moulfriet. I think that's how it's pronounced, but it's basically mussels with Belgian fries. Now what makes Belgian fries is that they are fried twice in beef tallow, so fat, and they're usually thick cut and shaped. The mussels are either cooked or steamed. That seems pretty good. I like mussels, I like fries, but I do think Belgians, when I went there, there's no reason why I had to mention that I went there, but apparently the Belgians serve their fries with mayo over tomato sauce, or a mixture, but I don't really mess with mayo. So Canada's national dish is poutine. French fries with cheese curds and brown gravy made from beef or chicken stock. First of all, plus points for the gravy including stock. That sounds very delicious. I don't know how cheese curds taste, but if cheese is nice, cheese curds should be alright, because all cheese is cured milk. No, I don't know how that works. Sometimes, you know, when like you like food but you don't want to look too deep into the process because you might not like what you find out. That's how I feel about cheese. But yeah, it looks very nice. It looks very hearty. If it was a cold day, I think that I would enjoy that. Next up, we have Morocco. Now Morocco's dish is the same as Tunisia, which is couscous. Looks like it has some chickpeas in there. To be honest, that does look nicer than the Tunisian photo I found. But again, it's couscous, so it didn't come from a particular country, just the images that I selected. If you threw some meat in there, I'm sure that would bang. Lastly, we have Croatia. I wonder what this Slavic European country has as its national dish. Correct, it has a stew. The name of this national dish is Istorka Jota, which is Istrian stew. Beans and sauerkraut or sour turnips, onions, garlic, potatoes, bacon, spare ribs, and olive oil. Now, I will say the bacon and spare ribs in a stew kind of is a bit of a surprise in a good way, so that gives it some points. Time to rank them. Poutine might be a bit of a wild card, but I'm gonna go for it. Then I'm gonna go Belgium with the mussels and fries, and then I'm gonna go Morocco and then Croatia. We've had enough of your stews, Europe. All right, on to Group G. First up, we have Brazil with feijoada. I did pronounce that nicely. I don't know where I know that from. Feijoada is black bean stew brewed with salted or smoked pork or beef products from carne seca, which is dried beef, to ribs. Traditional feijoada includes cheaper cuts of meat such as pig's ears, feet, tails, and beef tongue. I do like tongue, but minus point for the pig shit. Often served with farofa, which is toasted cassava or yam flour. From the photo, it looks pretty hearty. As long as it doesn't have the cheaper cuts, I'm in. Serbia's national dish is called sarma, a mix of ground pork or beef with rice rolled in leaves of sour cabbage served with potatoes. That looks a bit basic in terms of photo, but it does look similar to something called dolmadish, which is something that I do enjoy eating. I'm not too excited about it. I don't see it as a winner. Next up is Switzerland. Now the national dish of Switzerland is interesting. It's similar to Tunisia and Morocco in terms of the fact that their national dish is actually a side dish, but it is the rosti, which is a fried potato-based pancake made by frying flat round patties of grated potato in oil, commonly paired with fried eggs and spinach, or fleshkassa, which is corned beef or pork and bacon-based meatloaf, or smoked salmon sour cream and chives. I have had rostis multiple times. I enjoy them, but again, pretty basic. Lastly, in Group G, we have Cameroon with ndole. Now, ndole is the most popular dish, so it's the unofficial national dish. Stewed nuts and ndole, which are bitter leaves from West Africa, and fish or beef, traditionally served with plantain or bobolo, which is a dish made of fermented ground cassava and then wrapped in leaves. Yeah, it does look pretty good. Although, in terms of ground cassava, I'm not really familiar with that taste profile. So, this is kind of a harder group because all of them have elements of uncertainty. But I'm gonna go feijoada first, then I'm gonna give Cameroon the benefit of the doubt, and then I'm gonna go Switzerland just because there's not enough there in the meal, and then Serbia afterwards. Lastly, in the group stages, We have Portugal with bacalhau. I definitely mispronounced that. But that is dried and salted codfish, usually soaked in milk or water before cooking. Many different variations, but you can have it baked with cream, with potatoes, carrots, cabbage, and egg, or stir-fried with shredded potato, eggs, onions, and topped with black olives. Those all have different names, but I got a photo of the last one. It looks like a big rosti. I don't have very strong feelings about that. Ghana's national dish is fufu. Oh, by the way, this wasn't a confirmed national dish. A lot of sites mentioned it, so we're gonna roll with that. I wrote down in my notes that I'll add goat meat to this dish for the culture because a lot of you guys frown upon goat meat and you really shouldn't. It's underrated. I used to eat it when I used to live in Nigeria. Please. For fufu, you pound cassava and unripe plantain together while adding water. Now, the photo might not look the most appetizing, but believe you me, it is one of the most appetizing photos out of the bunch I had to choose from. So be grateful. Second to last, we have Uruguay with chivito. It's a thin slice of tender cooked beef steaks, or churrasco, with mozza, ham, tomatoes, mayo, and black or green olives. Also commonly served with bacon and fried or hard-boiled eggs. Not hard-boiled eggs, ew. Served as a sandwich in a bun with French fries. It's basically a slider with some personality. It looks like a healthy burger, so I'm kind of into that. Now with Korea's national dish, again, we have the side dish dilemma, because their national dish is kimchi. But I made the decision that it shall be served with bulgogi, which is basically fire meat and rice. Bulgogi is basically marinated beef, flame grilled, served with fermented veggies, which is the kimchi. It's usually cabbage and radish with a lot of seasoning. The photo looks nice. It looks kind of delicious, actually. In this one, we're gonna go with Portugal has fish in it, and I'm not a fan of fish, so that's already out. Ghana looks a bit suspect. I'm gonna have to go Korea first. Then I'm gonna go for the chivito from Uruguay because it's kind of a nice surprise. Then we're gonna go Ghana and then Portugal. Yeah, my bad. If it's fish, you've already kind of lost me. That's the group stage. Now we get to the interesting part, the knockout round. Okay, so round of 16, we have the Mashbush up against the cow. We're definitely going Mashbush. Then in the second game, we have Kabsa versus Stekflesh met Persilesovs. So we're gonna go with Saudi Arabia. A, because that puts Qatar versus Saudi Arabia, and B, because Denmark was sort of a pity choice anyways. After that, we have Japan versus Belgium. So that's sushi versus mussels and fries. Sushi all day. Brazil versus Uruguay. So feijoada versus chivitos. I'm gonna go with chivitos for this one. After that, we have Iran versus Ecuador. What is Iran? Iran is Koresh Gourmet Sabzi. Oh, that was the citrusy lamb. And what's that up against? Ecuador. And Ecuador was Bolon de Verde. Okay, we're gonna go with the lamb. Lamb over pork balls. After that, Australia versus Poland. So roast lamb versus bigos stew. We're gonna go with the bigos stew. Then Canada with the poutine versus Costa Rica's gallo pinto. That's actually tough because both of them were kind of like new additions to my mind and they were kind of both intriguing to me. I'm gonna go with Costa Rica. After that, we have bulgogi and the kimchi and the rice with Cameroon's dish, which was indole. Indole kind of snuck through on its own anyway, so we're gonna go with the kimchi. Okay, quarterfinals. Qatar versus Saudi. Now, that's Mashbush versus Kabsa, which as I've said already is basically the same thing, but we're gonna go with Saudi because the photo looks better and it has lamb instead of chicken. Then sushi versus chivitos. That's tough. That's tough. But at the end of the day, the chivitos are just a slider. And sushi is elite. And elite sushi is elite. Whereas an elite chivito would just be a little bit better than a regular chivito. But then is that saying that chivitos are more consistent? I'm gonna go sushi. This is why I didn't want sushi. It's kind of tough. After that, we have the Koresh Gourmet Sabzi versus the Polish stew. I'm not really excited about either of these, but we're gonna go with lamb. With Iran. Then Costa Rica. So the beans and the rice versus kimchi, beef and rice. I'm gonna go with Korea because it has meat in the meal and you know I like my meat.
Pause.
Alright, semi-finals, getting tight. I bet you weren't expecting to see these four teams in the World Cup semi-finals. We have the Kabsa versus Sushi. I think whoever wins this wins the World Cup, to be honest. That Kabsa looks good, bro. Comes with a lot of different spices, but Sushi has so many different variations. Oh my lord, that's so tough. Let me do the second semi-final first. We're gonna go with Korea, and then, so Kabsa versus Sushi. Oh, bro, this is the toughest decision I've had. Oh, that's so tough. I'm gonna go with Kabsa. No, sushi. No, Kabsa. No, I'm gonna go with sushi. And then it's sushi versus bulgogi with kimchi and rice. And obviously, sushi is the winner. There you have it, folks. The winner of the World Cup 2022 will be Japon, Japan, the great imperialist Asian nation. Thank you for playing this game. For those of you who actually came here about football opinions, let me run you through my actual prediction for this World Cup. So, Group A, I think it's Netherlands, Senegal, Ecuador, Qatar. Qatar's got nothing. Ecuador seems like a minnow team. Senegal is missing Mane, but they have some big names on the roster. And then Holland is Holland. They got struck down defense. And yes, I'm just saying with Van Dijk. I think Ake is actually scheduled to play midfield. But anyways, Group B, England, then Wales, then USA, then Iran. Iran again, non-factor. USA, I want them to fail with all my heart. They have a couple decent please. But any nation who calls it soccer cannot be allowed to progress to the group stage. Thank you. Wales, I think Bale and Ramsey are going to do something, but I don't see them beating out England. To be honest, I am a bit of an England fan this World Cup. By the way, I'm not saying they're my team. I'm saying I'm a fan of the team. There's a difference. I'm not ride or die England. I just like England and the players. Group C, Argentina, Mexico, Poland, Saudi. This is an interesting group. Saudi got nothing. Poland do have Lewandowski. And they got a couple interesting names in there, I won't lie. Mexico always seem to do well. Plus they have Lozano, they have Raul Jimenez, they have Ochoa in goal, who always activates during World Cups. I'm just repeating what other people have said. And then obviously the GOAT, Argentina, Messi. But I will say, the lineup for Argentina, it's not as many big names as you would expect, but I think Messi will carry. Oh, also by the way, these predictions are also based on what I want to happen. So I'm not being like 100% logical, it's how I want things to play out and how I think they will play out. Group D goes France, Denmark, Australia, Tunisia. Tunisia dead. Australia dead. Denmark actually have quite a few good players. And then France should win this group. I'm not a huge fan of France. Maybe I'm being a bit of a hater just because they won the last World Cup, so it's like it's not their time anymore. On to Group E. Germany obviously won 2014. 2018 they were dead. But I think you guys are forgetting about the front line that we're coming to this World Cup with. The whole Bayern front three. Musiala, Gnabry, Leroy Sané. Then apparently they're going to put Havertz in front of those three instead of Müller. But anyways, we'll see what happens. I think that they're a team to be reckoned with. Spain, I don't really like Spain. I looked at the predicted lineup and they don't look like they have a bite to their attack, which could be a bit of a problem. I mean, your main man is Morata. Come on. Then we have Japan, winner of the Food World Cup, but unfortunately not making it out the group stage, and then Costa Rica. But I do think that this is the most well-balanced group so far. There's quite a lot of baller teams in there. Group F, Croatia, then Belgium, then Morocco, then Canada. Canada, my boy Alphonso Davies. Unfortunately, you're the only baller on your team. Morocco do have a few names. Hakimi, Ziyech. They'll be an interesting team, but I think Croatia and Belgium just had too much for them. Croatia is one of them teams where like, off the top of your head, you don't remember all the names, and then you go look at the team and you're like, oh my days, bro. Like, they have big players. And then Belgium, I just want them to come second, and I think that they might because they always fumble in competitions. They always have the deepest team and then they fumble, bro. Group G, Brazil, then Serbia, then Switzerland, then Cameroon. Cameroon, they have Choupo-Moting. I just know that because he plays for Bayern. Switzerland, meh. Serbia have Alexander Mitrovic, and that's why I put him there. Okay, maybe Switzerland and Cameroon are better than Serbia, but no Mitro, no party. And he's injured, but he's gonna be there. He's gonna make a recovery, I read. So I hope that he just bangs in big goals to go second. And then obviously Brazil, Neymar. Brazil have the strongest team on paper. Their attack is actually the fortress. Like, they have enough attacks for 2 to 3 other nations. Group H, Portugal, then Uruguay, then Korea, then Ghana. Interesting group because Ghana and Uruguay are in the same group, and if you guys remember the drama from 2010, then you know what I'm talking about. Korea just have Son and Hwang Lee Chan, the guy from Wolves. Uruguay actually have a decent team. I forgot exactly who was in their lineup, but... And then Portugal, obviously. So, good defense, good attack. Portugal are looking decent. Now, knockouts. So, Netherlands v Wales. Holland's taking that. Argentina, Denmark. Obviously, Messi the GOAT. Denmark are a good team, but bye-bye. Germany, Belgium. Germany will handle business. Brazil, Uruguay. I'm going Brazil. Neymar. England, Senegal. I'm going England. Mexico, France. I hope that Mexico knock out France. Croatia, Spain. Bye-bye, Spain. Portugal, Serbia. Gotta be Sue. Oh, by the way, now we're just working on what I want to happen. Any of these games could go either way. Netherlands, Argentina. Obviously, Messi has to progress for the storyline. Germany, Brazil. Gotta be Germany. Actually, Germany, Brazil, I'm not sure because I like both the teams. Neymar is the only reason I want Brazil to go through, but it's basically who do I like more? I don't know. Let me go Brazil. I'm gonna go Brazil. Then England, Mexico. Sorry, Mexico. I do think that you guys are gonna do well, and I do like you, but I want the boys from England to get far. Also, keep in mind, the further England get, the more hype there is on socials because the England fans carry that. Portugal, Croatia, obviously. Then semi-finals, Portugal, England. Unfortunately, Ronnie needs to make the final, so bye-bye England. Argentina, Brazil, same drill. GOAT needs to make the final, so bye-bye Brazil. Argentina and Portugal in the final, 2022 World Cup, most watched singular sport event in the history of the universe, and Messi wins, solidifying the GOAT debate. Now, there are some people that will say the GOAT debate is already over. It's nice to keep it alive because Ronnie's obviously the closest thing. This will be amazing. Plus, it will be so amazing for the whole Ronaldo beefing with Man United. Those are my predictions. Japan wins the Food World Cup. Argentina wins the actual World Cup. Enjoy the first game today, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Did I tell you guys I used to live in Nigeria?